Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm the scrapbooking photographer. Linda is my name, and today I am here to take part in the hop for Mad About Minis. Now technically that's talking about mini paper pads. I have changed it a little bit and I'm working with either mini paper pads or scraps of paper to put together this mini album, which is 6x8. And it's an anniversary album for my husband, which I will give him in March 2025 when we celebrate our 40th wedding anniversary. Now, if you've been watching the videos in the past few months, you will know that I have done some travel photos, and I've done birthday photos, and I've done some photos of when we were guests at a wedding. So today I'm coming back to just before the 50th, and I'm going to document the time just before Christmas, because that was the time when we decided that for each other for Christmas we would buy ourselves a golden retriever puppy. So this is Pippa when she was a little baby. She arrived at our house on the 21st of December 2014. She's turning 9 this month, so there will be a celebratory video about that at some point, I'm sure. But right from the day we got her, she was absolutely perfect. So I love her to bits and have done since she was 4 weeks old when I first met her. She was 8 weeks when she came to us, and she's just been an absolute joy. But the interesting thing to me is that I'm finding with putting this album together, going back over the last 15 years, the things that we have achieved as a couple and the things that we've done as a family, and so many of those things aren't in the albums yet. So it's just so important to me that these things get documented so that our children and their children, if they're interested, but certainly our children, get to see and be reminded of those times in the future when we're not around to talk them through those experiences. So what I'm going to do today is work with a mishmash of Christmas photos. As I say, this was when Pippa arrived, and on the other side I'm going to use this photo, which is of our Christmas tree and our grandchildren that were visiting on the day. Now this is Jasper. He was our beautiful big brother to Pippa. This is one of our children's dogs, Shard, and this is Pippa. She was exhausted on the day after playing with all the kids and having all the visitors. So she slept so well. Anyway, so that's going on the right page. Now I can probably use the back page out of one of these. Yes, because there won't be anything in between this and my 50th. So this is going to go on here. Now I'll do this page first, but when I come to this one, I'm thinking of doing some fussy cutting. So we'll put those to one side and come in with this one here. Now I'm going to keep this pretty simple. So this scrap, for example, isn't quite wide enough, but if I cut it down the middle and put the photo over the middle, that will cover that join. There we go. So that piece is 8 inches high. So let's put this in the middle. Kind of there, and using the grid to line things up. And I've got this goldy piece here, which is long enough to fit across the bottom or the top. I haven't decided quite which yet. And I've got this piece also. I think this might go down the bottom, but I'll make it the same width as that one. So this one is, I'll make that 2 inches by 6. I always think that the busier patterns need to go down the bottom of the page, heavier down the bottom and a little bit lighter at the top. So it's really just making a little hodgepodge of things. And then if I put that over the top, and I'm going to frame that, and I think I'm going to use some gold glitter paper. I don't have any scraps of gold, so I'll just use the scarlet one. And I just want to put a couple of little trims. Now, this is one of those things that came in a pack, and it sort of goes together. So I'm just going to trim a couple of bits off these just to do a couple of layers here. So you can see I've just made these, which will just slide in. Right, now that might take a little bit of embellishing to finish off, but I'm happy with that the way that is, so I'm going to stick that down. Okay, so that one's stuck down, and we'll come back and embellish it a little bit later. I'll just pop that to one side and bring in the next page. As I mentioned, I'm thinking of fussy cutting. I do want a little bit of space for journaling on here. I certainly don't want the back of the couch and things everywhere. So I do quite like to fussy cut. And this photo has chopped off Jasper's nose, which is a terrible, terrible shame. So I'm just going to go in around here and cut around his fur and get rid of all of that extra bit that's around the outside that we don't need. When you're fussy cutting, it's good to leave some straight edges so that you've got somewhere for things to land. Now this one doesn't have any, but we do need to hide his nose under something, sit properly, and I'm thinking if we cut out around my husband. This is about Pippa snuggling into Jasper rather than Jasper himself, so I'm quite happy to just leave that as a massive golden fur behind her. And then it's just a matter of where I'm going to fit the photo of me. So I'm going to fussy cut that out as well and see how we go. With fussy cutting, it's often a matter of playing to get things to fit, and you can see here that that fits better over there, which means I need to just make that a square down to there, which doesn't lose anything off Pippa, and it just cuts the edge off my elbow, and that means that I can just line that up in there and have her just covering there. Now I quite like the way that kind of works in there, but I might just take a smidgen off so we can get a little bit more in. I can tuck that in there so she's overlapping, and then if I bring it all up and in, we'll have room for a small frame around the outside. Okay, now I've got some other photos here of Pippa when she was little, and I quite like this one of her on the hearth, and that might fit in quite nicely there to cover that bit there. So I'm going to make that kind of square. I do end up fussy cutting around the top of the puppy, but I'm just trimming this one a little bit, and that's why they call it fussy cutting. And you can take little shaves off to make things fit easier and to look right. So I see that the double-sided tape hasn't worked on the photo sticking it to the glitter paper. So I've just used some glue to adhere that down more strongly. Now I'd really like to extend those stripes of cardstock over to the left-hand page. So I'm going to trim some pieces to fit in there. The green one is a little tricky, and I'm going to have to patch bits in there. So I've got a good piece to go up the top, which takes the shortbread type colour across, and I've got some more little red strips to do the narrow strips between the transitions. Until I'm 100% happy with where the fussy cut photos are going to go, I'm just going to put a little bit of double-sided tape on the back so that I can easily move them if I need to.
I'll just get everything down. You can see the little gap at the bottom there, so it takes a little bit of fiddling around, and then I can stick the head down so that it's all done. And here I did mention that I would fussy cut around the dog, so I'm doing that, and it just takes that dark line of background away so that it blends more with the rest of the photos on the page. And put the last little piece of red in there and turn it over just to trim the edges and make it nice and tidy before sticking that down. Then you'll notice that I just give myself a little haircut so that we can see all of the nose that's above my head. Now, finding the patchy bit for the left side was a little bit of a challenge, as I had obviously used a nice big piece for some other bits and pieces. So what I'm going to do is patch in here by using this circle piece and just slotting it underneath and sticking it under there as I go, and then I'll flip it over and cut those extra bits off. Then I need to find a patch that's going to go onto that side, trying to keep the stripes in line so that they're nice and straight. And then when I found it, just sticking it down underneath. Now these joins I'm going to cover with a piece of red glitter, which balances with the red glitter we've got on the right hand page. And then I can find a little piece of shortbread coloured cardstock to go inside that to do my journaling on. Now, when I keep my scraps, I keep them in a named folder so that it's easy to find the colour that I want. And this little piece just fits nicely, so I'll stick that down, remembering that I need the glue, not the double-sided tape. So that goes in there, and then I'll whisk away and do some journaling, and it's all done. So I'm going to bring a little piece of shortbread in on the right-hand side as well. And I'm just cutting a couple of dovetails there to put on either end so that it looks like there's a little ribbon underneath. So just a little bit more glitter in there. You can never have too much glitter, hey? I'm liking the way this is coming together, and that right hand page leads into another one that's already done in the album. So that's starting to look good. So I've got a couple of little embellishments here that I'm just dry fitting around to see where they fit, which seems an ideal time to remind you that this is a hop. So there is a playlist listed in the description of everybody taking part. So make sure that you check them all out and give them some love. Your subscriptions are always welcome. Thank you so much for watching, and happy crafting, everyone.